Kajamba, or students rep and secretary. So in the meantime, I'm just going to do a few icebreakers, but it's not really the typical game icebreakers. What I'm doing is just some questions, just a few questions to get to know each other a bit more. So I'm going to throw the first question out to Kajamba. Sorry, Kajamba. I'll be
Why
throwing the
did I feel
first
like it was
question.
gonna be me?
I'm going to throw the first question out to Kajamba. So, for you, Kajamba, if you were a color, what would it be and why?
If I say black, are you going to tell me that it's a shade?
Um,
Please accept black. It's the color of my soul.
all right. So,
But if
you,
you want a color,
I think
um,
black is a shade, to be honest.
okay, maybe I just go with purple because I don't know. That's just the color I've favored probably because of certain people in my family and the associations with that color. But yeah,
All right, fair enough. Let me move on to Jada. Jada, are you here?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Jada.
Hi.
If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Wow. Oh gosh. What would it be? You have to answer something quick. Oh, I think hamburger.
Hamburger.
Yes,
So,
because
Jada, you would get up every day and eat hamburger with cheese and tomato and chicken for the rest of your life.
you see with hamburger now you can have a variety. You can have all the nutrition in it. The protein, the vegetables. You can probably add pineapple.
All
Put
right.
beef. You know.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Madam President, are you here? Aldit? All right, I'm not hearing her. So, Marisha, let me throw it out to you.
I'm here.
What does your ideal day look like?
I don't have to leave my bed. No, for real though. Like getting up seems more of a chore.
Wow.
So I'd rather stay in. I have my iPad charged because I usually have an outlet close to my bed, and
Okay.
Netflix and thing. That's it. That's it.
Interesting. All right. Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson just seemed like he dropped out, right? Oh, he's here. Mr. Thompson. Odin. If you had a time machine, what time period would you travel to?
Oh, wow. What time period?
Yes.
I wouldn't go to the past. That's risky. So I would
You think the past is risky?
yeah, because
So
you
how would
might
you
never
define the
know. I might
future that you don't know?
no, because I might jump to the past and end up
As a
selling
slave.
myself into slavery. You know, at
All
times
right.
that. So more than likely the future, and I'm thinking 22, 25.
Okay.
That year specifically just feels like the right year.
All right. Fair enough. Chanel, Miss Forbes, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hi. All right. So your question is, if you could have a superpower, what would you choose and why?
To be invisible. I don't know. I'm such a shy person,
All right. So
and
if you were invisible, what would you use that power to do?
if I'm invisible,
Yes.
the power to make me invisible.
Yeah, but what would you use it to do? Like, what would be the main thing that you do with your ability to be invisible? You'd spy into people's conversation. You'd watch
No,
people.
just like, if I'm going out where I'm gonna be around a lot of people, then sure I would.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Tashi, Miss Johnson, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. If you had one wish, what would you wish for?
Um, I think I would wish for a castle, an
A
Italian
castle
castle.
to live in? Tashi, of
Yeah.
all the things that are going on in the world right now, you want to wish COVID disappear?
Oh,
You would use your one wish for a castle?
I mean, yeah. I like.
Fair enough. I hear a wish. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Let me see. Who I didn't call on? Josh? Josh, are you here?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, good afternoon.
All right. So I'm going to dig in your business a little bit. What is the best gift you've ever been given?
The best gift that I have ever been given,
Yes. What's the best gift someone ever gave to you?
an iPhone.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
To be
Must
honest,
be
Nisha.
nice to be God's favorite.
Nisha, are you here?
I think so.
All right. Your question is, what is the scariest thing you've ever done for fun?
Oh Jesus. You want to dig back in my past like that? Jesus, oh God.
Nisha, that sound like you know so serious something. Come talk.
No, it's not that serious, but it's the first thing that came to mind. I didn't want to remember it, but okay.
Okay.
All right. So when I was young and I had a boyfriend,
Okay.
and we were driving and I didn't know that section of the road. I didn't know the place at the time.
Uh-huh.
And I thought it was fun to
No, Nisha, talk.
let me look at what that Carla. I was just giant. Why is she doing this to me? I don't remember exactly what happened, but I was like, I don't know, I was playing with him or something, and I was over on his side. He was driving, so we almost crashed. I thought it was fun. I was playing, so yeah.
Oh
Wow.
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 Yeah,
Wow,
wow.
Nisha. Okay. All right, Sasha, are you here? All right, Sasha now answer me. What about Swaby? Swaby, are you here?
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Swaby. All
Hi.
right. So your question is, what was your favorite television show as a kid?
Um, well, that would definitely have to be Code Lyoko.
Okay. Can't say I know
Oh
what
my
that is.
gosh, I've never heard anybody else talk about that show. Sorry, I don't
Yeah.
know what that is.
I can't say I know what that is.
I'm
I'm
going for a
sorry.
second.
All right. Did everybody go? Did I give everybody a chance? Did I? Did I? Did I think so. All right. Najani, I'm gonna turn over to you.
All right, thanks, Jamila. Good
No
afternoon
problem.
again, guys. So just give me a second to allow me to share my screen. Uh, all right, so I won't be able to see any messages in the chat because I'm full screen now. All right, so I had this idea where I believe that I had some tips that I could possibly share with you guys to, help you, kickstart the semester. Despite the fact that you're 3 weeks in, I figured that, this, is still timely advice, still timely tips that could help anyone. Most of these, if not all of them, have actually helped me personally. So I wouldn't necessarily tell people to do anything that I haven't done myself. So, these are just some practical things that I believe can help everybody. All right. So just some tips on how, you can conquer and crush this semester. All right. So the first thing, you need to organize your space. How do you organize your space, Najan? So first, you want to ensure that you create a defined space where you can work, which helps you to focus. So not everybody will have a desk and a table and a lampstand and a desktop, and that for you this could probably look something like just spreading a blanket in one corner of your room where you have all your books and your pens and your folder and your course outlines, whatever, on hand. Where okay, when that when you're in that space you're just focusing on work. And I've personally found that that has worked wonders for me in just creating a frame of mind where whenever I'm in that space I know that it helps. So the next thing you want to ensure that you do is to declutter your space. So decluttering, guys, declutter. So all of the bottled water and the Schweppes and everything that could possibly serve as a distraction, your clothes, whatever that may be for you, you get rid of that. If it's not work related in that space, you want to get rid of that. So all the garbage, you want to clean up your space and organize it. So when you're in that space, you're only focusing on your work. Uh, Books. So as I said before, I kind of mentioned this with the first one. So you want to ensure that all your learning materials, your books, your pens, your course outline, whatever that is, you have everything in one place to help you to be more prepared. So the next thing, you want to organize yourself. So I know that we're online now, and it's a bit different for most of us, if not all of us. We're not really used to this. Well, I guess by now we've gotten used to it, but we're not going to a physical school anymore, most of us. So, but you still want to ensure that you get up and you prepare yourself to take on the day, right? So personally, I found that waking up at a certain time each day, it really helps me to get into that rhythm again, because I found that sleeping in late and going to school, it really doesn't help. So, you want to get up at a certain time. I don't know what that time is for you, but you want to get up at least, let's say, a hour or an hour and a half before your first class begins, so you can, get yourself ready for the day. So, you take a shower, you eat breakfast, eat a balanced diet, guys. So, you get all of your protein and your the food groups. I'm not going to go into that, but you get all of the things that you need to have a healthy breakfast. Uh, your yard clothes, guys. I know you're at home, most of you, so you feel comfortable. You just want to throw on something to feel comfortable. But I found that when I'm in a certain type of clothes, I feel too comfortable, so much so that I'm not really in the mindset to work. So I found that you don't want to dress up too much because you're at home, but you want to put on something semi-formal. So maybe that's a jeans, I don't know. Or maybe just as a shirt that you wouldn't normally necessarily wear at home. So you just throw that on and it puts you into a frame of mind for work. And I cannot emphasize this enough, guys. Do not, I repeat, do not stay in bed when you have classes. I tried this when classes just went online, and honestly it did not do me any good. I was just in this mindset to just be in bed all day, and I was very lethargic and I wasn't at all in the mood to learn anything. So get out of your bed, go in your space, and get ready for school. All right, moving on. Let me just look what's happening in the chat real quick. All right. All right. So the next one. So you want to set short-term goals, right? So for you, these are just some examples of short-term goals. For you, they can look, a bit different. But for me, these are just some examples of short-term goals. So for me, last semester, I found that, just pacing myself and just setting, tiny goals for where I want to be at the end of the week. So, or I assume that for most persons, your lectures are recorded. So what I usually do is to go through those lectures and watch them and make as much notes as I possibly can on them. So I extract as much information as I can, and I try to get as much from that lecture before the week ends, so that I don't have too much of a, I guess, strain going into the next week. So attending and actively paying attention in all your classes. So this goes back to, getting out of bed and, going into your space. So you want to, I think this is a goal that everybody, can set for themselves, so you're not going to you're going to tell yourself that, okay, I'm not going to lay in bed all day. I'm going to get up, I'm going to do some work. So you attend classes, so you sit there and you have your textbook and your notebook or whatever that is, or your pen or whatever you guys use to take notes, and you pay attention. So you sit and you engage. And I didn't write this on there, but I think one way that you can get yourself into the frame of mind to work in classes is that you can try to participate, try to ask questions, try to see what people are saying, and try to respond in the classes. So, just be participative and just be active in paying attention. Because you can sit there, but you're not really paying attention. So be just try to participate, try to engage in the discussions and the conversations that are happening in the class. And I've personally found that that can really help you to, be more attentive and extract even more information. uh so, for example, this was one of the examples that I used. So you want to ensure that even when you're setting goals, you set very specific goals. So if you say, okay, I just want to participate in class, but what does that mean, right? So this was one of the examples that I used for me last semester. Was, I decided that I didn't want to, give myself too much work going into the following week. So I said I would do some reading on this topic, social identity, before I go to class the next week. Right. So this is just some examples of, short-term goals, whatever that might be for you. You can tailor that to what you would like to achieve from the semester. But these are just some of the examples. So the short-term goals, so the long-term goals rather. So the long-term goals now. So the short-term goals are really just something that you can use to catapult you into your long-term goals. So the long-term goals can look something like, okay, I want to get an A plus in Psych 2019 this semester, boy, I know I'm gonna shut it up in about. I need to ensure that, yes, I have the long-term goals, but at the same time, I need to know exactly what I'm putting in day by day to get me to those long-term goals. 4.15 GPA for this semester. You can say, okay, if I want a 4.1 GPA for this semester, what does it take? How do I get there? So that is where the short-term goals come in, where you can use to, build up that, I guess, momentum to get you to that final long-term goal. Or another example could be you want to make the dean's list by the end of the semester. As I said, these are just some examples, and you can always tailor them to your personal preference. All right. So the next one, you want to read through your course outline. This is something that I've personally seen like really debilitating a lot of my colleagues. So I realize a lot of persons, they don't read. I don't understand, as psychology students, we want to ensure that we're always reading, we're always informed, we always know what is happening. So you want to ensure that as soon as, your container on Orville is filled, you want to go and look for your course outline. If there's not one, hone the lecture and ask for one. There's usually a set of recommended textbooks at the, I think it's the bottom or sometimes at the very beginning of the course outline. So you can use those, you can look for those. And I think there's a site that I will share afterwards, after this presentation, where you can get those books from. So, you know, you want to ensure that you understand what the course is really about, and you get the necessary materials that can help you to supplement your readings, for example, because a lot of us, really and truly, I am in this as well, myself, I'm guilty, where I'm just 100% dependent on the slides, the lecture slides to give me information. So a lot of times I find that, you know, just doing that independent reading to supplement your knowledge or your learning, it really goes a long way. Um, so you want to ensure that you really go through your course outline thoroughly. The next thing is that you want to see what assignments you might have for that semester. So you want to pace yourself. So you find all the due dates. There's supposed to be one S in this physically. So you want to find all the due dates where possible and physically make note of them. Uh, So you want to ensure that, you know, you're not just saying, oh, you know, October 2nd that due, and you just move on. No, you get, if that means, you know, you get a sheet of paper, you use a tape and you stick it onto your wall and say, all right, October 2, this is due, October 7, this is due. So I've personally found that, you know, doing this, it really works. I know for all of you techie people, you flashy people too, you know, too cool for school. You know, you can, there are some apps. There's one I'll share in the chat right now called hold on, 1 second. There's this app that I've used in the past called any.do. So I'll just put that in the chat. So that app, or if you're a digital person, you don't want to do the physical thing, that app, it sets reminders for you, and it doesn't stop annoying you until you finish that task. So if you want to a real motivation coach, I guess that app is really good for you. So guys, just go through your course outline, see what assignments are due, what the assignments entail, and you start preparing mentally for them at least. Right, so we're moving on. So your routine, you want to create a routine and you want to stick with that routine. So for me personally, you know, my routine was, you know, I get up at 7 or 7:30 depending on the day. And then I said, all right, I'm going to, you know, read my Bible, pray, whatever. And then afterwards, I'm going to just recap what I did in class last week, or just, you know, refresh my memory on the notes that I would have taken from the book, or, you know, from the lecture slides, or whatever it is. Whatever it is for you, create a routine that you can stick to, because if you're just, you know, getting up every day and you don't really have an aim or a plan for the day, you know, anything can happen. And when you plan, I've found that, you know, you get much more out of your day. So for example, you know, if you have a free time, if you have 2 hours, you know, free on Wednesdays, you can say, all right, I'm going to take this free time where I can dedicate something to, you know, reading the Psych 1000 textbook to, you know, catch up if I might not have understood everything that the lecturer was speaking about, or my Wi-Fi went out, or something like that, right? So you want to ensure that you take time for your courses and just stick with it. So I know it's kind of hard to, you know, be, you know, mundane or monotonous, but you can, you know, you can spice up the thing, man. You don't have to limit up. And, you know, you just create that routine where, you know, okay, on Wednesdays at this time, I'm supposed to be, you know, studying Psych 1000, or, you know, you can tailor it to how, you know, your personal preference. But I found that a routine, it really helps. The next thing, assignments. So guys, you do not, if it's not a necessary requirement, or if it's not like a quiz where it's time bound, you don't have to complete all your assignments in one go. So I found that when I was in first year, this was a problem that a lot of us had, where we wasted a lot of the time and we procrastinated, and at the last minute, everybody was just trying to do a Psych 1000 assignment, the research assignment. So what I found that you can do, you research a little, you write down in your notepad or whatever, you make notes on your phone or whatever, based on the article that you have read, and you take it in small bites. So you focus, say you set a goal, yeah, goes back to the short-term goal. So you set a goal for today and say, okay, I'm going to do one page of this 10-page assignment today. And then tomorrow I'm going to do another page. Maybe 2 days later, I'm going to do another page. And I found that, when you tackle your assignments in, small bits and pieces, you're able to be much more productive. Well, for some persons than if you would have taken it on as a whole, right? Uh, the other tip on the assignments is do the hardest assignment first. A lot of times we regard an assignment as difficult, or boy, I don't know how I'm gonna tackle this, so I just push it back, push it back, push it back. And before you know, you're procrastinating, and that very thing that you're pushing back, that's what's causing you to stress out. So that's that. Well, I'm speaking for myself, but I know a lot of persons can relate to that. So you want to ensure that you're tackling the hardest assignment first, whatever that is for you. You try to tackle it first, and when you do that and when you accomplish it, there's just this great burden that you feel that is lifted from you, and therefore it gives you the incentive to go on and tackle the quote unquote smaller assignments. Help, guys, do not be afraid to ask for help. I know this online thing can make a lot of us shy away from interacting with our peers, but if you don't understand something, you cannot sit there and expect that you just are going to magically know it. Don't be afraid to ask for help, guys. So whatever you don't understand, ask a classmate. uh text your email a lecturer, ask them for assistance, ask them, I realize that you're in my class now, boy, and I never did understand this today. So can I call you and you explain this to me? People are nice that way, guys, but you just have to ask. And on the flip side, if you understand the material, don't hesitate to offer your help. But at the same time, you don't want to put yourself out there and people just a bummer thing. So you can say, guys, hey, if you don't understand, let's say it's like 2002, you don't really understand how to remember all of those disorders out of your head. You can say, boy, I found this way, that really helps me to remember them. So you share that in the groups. And if you have any time on your hands, you can say, guys, you can reach out to me between these hours, because you don't want people to bomb Russia. You don't want people to be texting you at really strange hours. So you create that boundary, or that time frame where people can reach out to ask for your help. All right. So rest, guys. I cannot emphasize the importance of rest. So a lot of us think that we just have to keep going, keep going, keep going, but you need a rest, really and truly. So for those of you who love them bed, you can relax. You can take some time, create a definitive time. You say, all right, this is my rest time. I'm not do no work. I'm not do no school work. Just I go focus on just me. Just I go focus on myself. Just I go focus on getting some well needed rest. So for me personally, last semester my rest day was on a Sunday, and I found that worked really well, because I freshened up and I was really ready to take on the rest of the week that was coming. So whatever day that looks like for you, maybe you can take, I guess you can say something like 7 hours on Saturday or something like that. Whatever works for you, just ensure that you're throughout the semester with all your goals and assignments, you're taking adequate rest for yourself. Uh, Next, reward yourself. So when you set assignments, you set goals, you say, boy, I want to go through the lecture day, because it was a lot of, I never really focus. And a lot of time we say we want to focus, but we don't really kind of zone out on the thing. So you want to say, all right, cool. I never did get all of what you want from the lecture day. So I'm gonna go through it, I'm gonna write notes. When you write your notes, You can say, boy, I can't even believe I mean this. You finish that goal, you finish that task that you wanted to do. So you can say, boy, I make go buy myself a chocolate, or boy, I make sniff a Smirnoff, something for just reward yourself and just feel a sense of accomplishment. So you don't want to just continuously be working like Portia. You want to ensure that you reward yourself along the way as incentive to just keep going, right? And that's it, guys. So I hope this was helpful in some way to someone, and I really wish you guys a very productive semester, and just go out there and crush the thing, man. Yeah.
Thank you, Najani. My word. You'd think that going through university for 3 years, you'd have picked up some of these and actually and actually started working on them. But we all need a reminder for those of us who are just hearing this now, please take heed, because it's not really your assignments that are eating you up, it's your approach to doing your assignments and trying to actually be productive. I think you really should listen to this presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much, Najani. Okay, so moving on, we are going to have a presentation on two movies, Shutter Island as well as Gone Girl, and that will be done by myself, yours truly. This is Marisha Morgan, and Kajamba Fitzhenley. Kajamba is going to be going first, so I hope that you guys like it. Just a quick disclaimer: we are not psychologists, so you want to say what we say here are A, just suggestions, B, just speculations, and C, should not be taken seriously beyond like a reasonable doubt or something like that. I think that's what I want to say. Um this is an activity that for those of us who've been through abnormal psychology know why we've come up with our theories or whatsoever. For those of us who are going into abnormal psychology or who have just joined the course, I think you should really pay attention to this, because this is basically an assignment that you're going to have to go through and watch persons present on week after week. So without further ado, our presentation. Oh, wait, I need to share my screen.
Marisha, just so
Yeah.
you know, anything you say can and will be used against you.
Don't worry.
so, so
Yeah.
anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
The good thing about
Jamila.
that court of law is that these aren't movies that are on the list, so I'm good. Don't worry.
Yes, Alice.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I
I'm
know
in
this.
the background watching my star team just shine up, shine up. Marisha, I just
Yeah.
want to make a disclaimer for Marisha. Guys, you see how Marisha talking about sleep all day? What she hasn't told you guys is that she stays up all night. Don't follow her. That is why she gets her A's. She sleeps all day and stays up literally all night.
You have
So
to tell people my
please,
secret, Aldi.
so please don't follow her when she's talking about she just sleep all day. Here she works at nights.
I work at night up to what, 5 o'clock? I'm a night owl. All right, so I'm gonna be sharing my screen now. Please tell me if you guys can see and hear. I'm going to play us. Oh, I need clearance. Could host give me host, please, so I can share.
Or you can. Oh, 1 second.
No, it's giving me some problems.
Marisha, someone is asking if you stay up all night and sleep all day. When do you go to classes?
That's a secret. I will never. I'm joking.
She don't miss
So
any class either,
I
guys.
don't.
She's a superwoman. Don't follow
So
her.
I'll fall asleep probably at around like 4. And the good thing about it is a lot of my classes are late. So I can wake up at 1 and still be there for class. So it's not really that bad. Oh, okay, I'm there. Great. I am going to share. And I still have problems. Okay, Kajamba, can you share?
Okay, just give me a second.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Denise. I'm not sure what's happening. Um, this is quite odd. All right, so in the meantime, while we're putting this together, basically, what this exercise is supposed to do is to mirror what you'll be doing in abnormal psychology. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's analyzing movies. And what I'm going to encourage you to do, especially, is to not just focus on what you see, but what is also not expressed or not expressed implicitly, explicitly rather. So look at like a character's manner of speech, what they say, how they treat people around them, because chances are you might just think that it's dramatization, but really it's also a manifestation of whatever, whatever disorder that they may be experiencing. It's pretty fun to watch your favorite actor or actresses go through the motions of going through different disorders and trying to see how convincingly they can do it. And the storylines are pretty concise, they're pretty clean. And you should also understand that this is just a Hollywood depiction of mental illness. As we all know, Hollywood does not truthfully put forward everything that's on the silver screen. It's not everything that you can consume and you go to the movie theater or you download or whatsoever. That's going to give you a real life um, depiction of certain things. But it is good to some extent to see what persons outside of your realm of understanding actually deal with. So, without further ado, our presentation.
Okay, you guys are seeing the screen, right?
Yes, and we're also getting audio.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make it a slideshow. Okay. Presentation is on depictions of mental disorders in film, Shutter Island, and Gone Girl. I'll be looking at Shutter Island first. So just a summary of how we're going to approach each film. We're going to summarize the films for you because I know not everyone would have seen the two movies we're talking about. We're going to identify the disorders and the DSM diagnoses for each. We're going to kind of evaluate the accuracy of the depiction in our opinion and our very limited knowledge of clinical disorders. We're going to see how realistic this depiction of the disorder was. And then, of course, we have our references at the end. So Shutter Island, this is a film starring Leonardo DiCaprio. It was released in 2010 and it's based on a novel of the same name by Dennis Lehane, which was published in 2003. So I'm just gonna see if I can play this trailer quickly for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, and just for you guys to get an idea of what the contents are. Let me know if it's playing and if you can hear. Okay, so the video doesn't seem to be working, so I'm just going to skip that part and hopefully of what's going on so that hopefully you can follow when I'm breaking down the diagnosis. And of course, you can watch a trailer and full movie on your own time, and I'm sure you guys, to be very honest, whilst I was going through some of the disorders for trying to diagnose the main character of this, I saw a lot of diagnoses that I thought could work because the movie is kind of very complicated and there are a lot of details. So it's kind of it's kind of difficult to pin it to one disorder, especially if you're not used to doing that. So what I mainly worked with for this was actually the disorder that they identified in the movie as the pathology that we. Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, appears to the audience as a former U.S. Marshal, now turned investigator, who travels to Ashcliffe Mental Institution on Shutter Island to investigate Michelle's Orlando. However, when the facility denies his request for patient records, he and his partner, Chuck, who is played by Mark Ruffalo, begins to get tips of the institution. So he becomes increasingly suspicious, and as he does so, Teddy decides to abandon the official investigation as his curiosity shifts towards the whereabouts of another patient, patient 67, who he believes to be Andrew Ladies. Continuing, Teddy has encounters with other about his dead wife, both of which appear to be warning him about the greater conspiracies going on at the mental institution. He also starts having dreams about a small girl asking him for help, and he continues to have more hallucinations. As he continues to have more hallucinations, he becomes convinced that the institution has drugged him through pain medication and cigarettes in an effort to keep him trapped there as a patient. Any of you guys have getting an idea of what the disorder could be at this point? I can't really see the chat, but if any of you wanted to get out here,
Kajambo,
feel free.
the audio is a bit like, could you move closer to your router? I think that would resolve the problem.
Okay, so when Teddy finally when Teddy finally confronts one of the institution's psychiatrists with his conspiracy theory,
Kajamba, are
asserting
you
that he
hearing me?
needs to leave the island in order to
Kajamba?
report the institution to the government, and has been a patient with the
Kajamba?
institution for 2 years. Apparently, Teddy has been creating fame and related and the names of his loved ones. So he takes apparently how he came up with the name Teddy Daniel. I just realized I probably should have issued a spoiler alert for both of these films for anyone who hasn't seen it. Because as
Kajamba,
you see, this is a major twist. Nobody has spoiled it for you. So Andrew Ladies
Kaj,
now is his wife after she drowned their children. Teddy refuses to accept that he's Andrew. However, the psychiatrist persists in informing Teddy that he had been in an effort to help him realize that he's in fact Andrew. In an effort to help him realize that he's in fact Andrew. So flashbacks at this point in the film, flashbacks his wife and his children are being taken to the mental institution where Teddy is being investigated.
guys, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
All right, so that's wild. Um, All right. In the meantime, okay, I'll just. Oh, I was just texting her, telling her that her audio is all the way off. Nisha.
Yikes. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened with that. I'm assuming it must be my internet connection, and when I'm sharing, it's taking even more bandwidth. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I was. Oh, okay. I didn't
Maisha,
know. Huh?
did you find a way to share, or do you want me to
Yeah,
attempt it?
my laptop is good now.
Okay, can you share, because I don't want the same thing to happen.
Okay.
Sorry about that,
Or at least
everybody.
I think the laptop is good now. Desktop. We're sharing the desktop. Wanna see my desktop?
Yes.
Yes, we can
Ah,
see.
good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Which oh, I can just do this. Oh no, wrong thing. Done. Present. Which slide were you on?
I think we missed it all.
Oh, oops. Too far.
Yeah, we missed it from the first slide.
Oh, this is the
Yes,
trailer that she wanted to show.
yes.
Kajamba, I'm gonna play it now, okay?
Okay.
Tell me if you guys can hear it. Can you hear it?
No, we're not hearing.
Oh?
I'm hearing.
What is going on? All right. Not quite sure what this is. Hold on.
It's okay. If other people can't hear, we can just skip it. It's not really that important, because we kind of already gave them spoilers.
Are they still not hearing?
No,
Or at least it should
Kajamba,
be.
did you click share sound as well?
I did.
I did that before the thingy came.
So maybe I can try clicking share sound as well when you're starting.
Is it that I'm also not seeing it? Same as system share.
You want to
How about
stop
now?
and start over?
I just hit one of the thingy deer, sorry. And I just switched one of the options and I'm not quite sure if it's working. You know, for somebody who's 21, I should be able to use technology. All right, you know what? We're gonna skip this part. I would also have to skip all of my thing there. What call there? My clips because I had a lot of clips. Okay, let's go, Kajambo.
Okay, can you move to the next slide?
Yeah. Are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay, so starting over, the movie summary. Teddy Daniels, who is the protagonist, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. So, are you guys hearing sound?
We can hear you, Kajambo.
I know I can't hear Kajambo.
I don't think she's actually talking now.
Okay, I'm
Oh,
back. Sorry
okay.
about that. There was something playing on my laptop that was disturbing the presentation. Sorry. Teddy Daniels, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, appears to the audience as a former U.S. Marshal, no turn an investigator, and he travels to the Ashcliffe Mental Institution on Shutter Island to investigate the disappearance of one of the patients there, Rachel Solano. Maisha, Your window is blocking the screen.
Sorry.
It's okay. However, when the facility denies his request for patient records, he and his partner, Chuck, who is played by Mark Ruffalo, begin to get suspicious about the motives of the institution. As he becomes increasingly suspicious, Teddy decides to abandon the official investigation as his curiosity shifts towards the whereabouts of another patient, identified as patient 67, who he believes is Andrew Ladies. Next slide, please. So Teddy encounters other patients as well as starts having hallucinations of his dead wife, both of which appear to be warning him about the greater conspiracies going on at the mental institution. He also starts having dreams about a small girl asking him for help. As he continues to have more hallucinations, he becomes convinced that the institution drugged him through pain medications and cigarettes in an effort to keep him there as a patient. So far, based on the synopsis, is anybody able to guess, or does anybody have any ideas about what the mental disorder might be?
Let me just scroll the chat to see if people are answering.
I see Nisha says she's not hearing. Is that the case for everybody?
The question is what disorder do you think Teddy has so far?
Someone else is saying they're not hearing.
No, Janella is saying she is, and I think Nisha is now hearing.
Right,
Maybe
Denise. Denise
schizophrenia?
is guessing schizophrenia, which I guess for obvious reasons, it seems like it could be schizophrenia. And to be very honest, while I was going through the DSM, trying to find disorders to match this manifestation of his symptoms with, there were a lot of disorders that it could meet the criteria for. So, as somebody who obviously isn't a psychologist, and I'm not in the habit of diagnosing people, it was kind of hard to pin down this character's symptoms with that one specific disorder. So, as usual, there could be different diagnoses if you have a good rationale for it. But in order to make this presentation, what I focused on is the diagnosis that they actually assigned to the character in the movie. So, with that, moving on to the next slide. When Teddy finally confronts one of the institution's psychiatrists with his conspiracy theory, asserting that he needs to leave the island in order to report the institution to the government, the psychiatrist informs Teddy that he has delusional disorder and has been a patient with the institution for 2 years. Apparently, Teddy has been creating fictional characters by combining the letters of his real name, Andrew Ladies, and the names of his loved ones. So Andrew Ladis is now described to him as a former U.S. Marshal who murdered his wife after she drowned their 3 children. Teddy refuses to accept that he is Andrew. However, the psychiatrist persists in informing Teddy that he had been undergoing role-play therapy in an effort to help him realize that he is in fact Andrew Ladis. Next slide, please. So at this point in time, flashbacks appear to reveal the events that lead to the death of his wife and children, suggesting that what Teddy is being told is true. He realizes that the girl from his dreams is his daughter, that his partner, Chuck, is actually another psychiatrist who had been assigned to shadow him at all times, given that he's the most violent patient on Shutter Island. The final scene of the movie features a scene of these two men where Chuck asks Teddy slash Andrew what he plans to do now that he's eligible to be released from the institution, that is. He responds that he needs to get off the island, indicating that he still believes in the conspiracy that the government and the mental institution are trying to trap him. The officers at the institution escort Teddy to have a lobotomy to cure his disorder. So that's it for the synopsis. Hopefully that gives you guys a general idea of why the diagnosis that I'm going to explain could be assigned to Teddy. So before we get into the diagnostic criteria, some definitions that you need to know. Delusions are fixed beliefs that are not amenable, that are not amenable to change in light of conflicting evidence. The content may include a variety of themes. They can be persecutory delusions, referential, somatic, religious, grandiose. In the interest of time, I'm just going to highlight the primary two that would be applicable to this case. So that's persecutory delusions, which are beliefs that one is going to be harmed, harassed, and so forth by an individual, an organization, or a group. This is the most common type of delusion. Grandiose delusions are when an individual believes that he or she has acceptable abilities, wealth, or fame. So both of these might be able to apply to Teddy's case, and you'll see why. Okay, so the diagnostic manual for mental disorders has 5 criteria in order for a diagnosis to be made for delusional disorder. The first one being the presence of one or more delusions within a duration of 1 month or longer. So that one is pretty straightforward. We see that Andrew Davis, or Teddy Daniels, appears to be under the delusion that he is someone else by the alias Teddy Daniels, and that the mental institution is involved in a government conspiracy to trap him. So we see where he meets criterion A. Criterion B suggests that criterion A for schizophrenia has never been met. So this one is a little bit tricky, suggesting that in order for someone to be diagnosed with delusional disorder, at no point in their life before should they have met the criterion A for schizophrenia. And schizophrenia criterion A states that an individual should have significant manifestations of 2 of 5 symptoms, those being hallucinations, delusions, disorganized speech, grossly disorganized or catatonic behavior, or I'm seeing a message saying that the audio is fluctuating. Is that the case for everybody?
No, I'm hearing okay. Let me look
Sorry
back
about
at
that.
that.
I'm not sure what the problem is. Okay. Right, and the final symptom for criterion A of schizophrenia would have been negative symptoms. So if at any point Teddy was showing symptoms of at least 2 of the 5 symptoms of the 5 that I just named, he shouldn't be assigned the disorder or the diagnosis of delusional disorder. But you see a note there that says if hallucinations are present, they should not be prominent or they should be related to the delusional theme. So I think the justification that they would have been trying to make in the movie for this is that the hallucinations that Teddy had were actually directly related to the delusions that he held, which I outlined above. And those delusions were that he's someone else entirely, and that the mental institution was actually a part of a huge conspiracy to trap him there. So that any hallucinations that he would have had would have been directly connected to that theme, which is why he can meet criterion B for delusional disorder. Moving on to criterion C,
Oop,
apart from the impact of no,
sorry
that's
about
it.
that.
Apart from the impact of the delusion or its ramifications, functioning is not markedly impaired and behavior is not obviously bizarre or odd. So this one could be a little bit tricky as well because considering the fact that he was checked into a mental institution in the first place, you'd think that his behavior would have had to be markedly impaired, right? But one could argue that once Andrew actually committed to the delusion that he was someone else, that someone being Teddy Daniels, he was actually able to function quite normally as a member of society. So as Teddy Daniels, he was an investigator. He was able to fulfill that role as an investigator. He was able to be sociable and interact with people. So his behavior wasn't anything that was conspicuously odd, where someone who didn't have psychological knowledge would be able to identify that anything was out of the ordinary. So criterion B says if manic or major depressive episodes have occurred these have to have been brief relative to the duration of the delusional period. So I've in my research for this, I saw some arguments that Teddy could have been going through a manic episode whilst he was carrying out his investigations. Because if you'd seen the trailer, you'd have been able to see some scenes where he might have been exhibiting some symptoms of mania. He was hyper vigilant and focused on his goal. He got angry quickly. But relative to the 2 years that he was at the institution, which is when you would have been diagnosed with the disorder, that would have just been a very brief period of of mania. So we would just call that a brief manic episode. And the final criterion E, the disturbance is not attributable to physiological effects of a substance or any other medical condition, and it is not better explained by any other mental disorder, such as body dysmorphic disorder and obsessive compulsive disorder. So Teddy was shown to have smoked and he drank alcohol as well, but considering the degree to which he did that, he didn't do that in the film frequently enough in order for it to lead to the kind of intense symptoms that we saw. And a specifier for this disorder would have been, I think it's cut off at the bottom, but it would have been persecutory type delusional disorder, because the main theme that was attached to his delusion was that the organization, the mental institution he was at, was out to get him. Okay, so what is the accuracy of this depiction of delusional disorder in the movie? How realistic was it? What did they get right? What did they get wrong? So based on research has shown, addressing what they could have gotten right in this depiction, research has shown that persons with delusional disorder are less likely, compared to those with schizophrenia, to have had relatives with psychosis, suggesting that the disorder may be a result more of the environment than of anything else. So in the movie, there's nothing to reference that this disorder is something that Teddy could have inherited. So I suppose the suggestion is then that the onset might have been prompted more by the environment he was in and the trauma that he would have experienced right before, which would have been, of course, the death of his wife and children. Second, persecutory type is the most common form of delusional disorder. So if you're going to do a depiction of this disorder, which in itself is actually quite rare, this manifestation of it would have been the most common. So that could attribute to it being a more realistic depiction. Some things that they could have gotten wrong though. So most patients with psychosis are not violent, though there is an increased risk compared to the general public. But generally, people with psychosis, people with psychotic disorders like delusional disorder or schizophrenia, generally they aren't violent people. But it's often attached that they have that stigma is often attached to them. And in the movie, Teddy was actually identified as the most violent patient in the institution. So that's something that wasn't as realistic as it could have been, and inadvertently it added to the stigma that is associated with psychosis. Another thing they got wrong is that delusional disorder tends to develop much later in life. This is kind of a small fact. So for persons, delusional disorder usually manifests around an average age of 46 years old. Teddy in the film is 35, which might align his diagnosis more with with a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So that's something that they could have gotten a little better. But aside from that, it was quite a realistic enough depiction of the disorder. I think the major thing would have been the point of violence, indicating that someone with this disorder might be a violent person, which generally isn't true. So that
Oh,
should be the end of my.
okay. And that's the beginning of mine. Okay. So I'm doing Gone Girl, and it's this best-selling book, and for very good reason. by Gillian Flynn, and it's acted out in the main roles rather of Nick by Ben Affleck and Amy by Rosamund Pike. I hope you guys are hearing me. Please indicate if you are not. So the synopsis of Gone Girl really revolves around Amy and Nick, but mostly Amy. They're in this what seems like this cookie cutter marriage. It's perfect, Stepford Wives kind of perfect. And on their fifth anniversary, I mean, on the surface, it's perfect. They have their problems. On the fifth anniversary, though, Amy goes missing, and we put missing in quotations because Jano. um, and as you know, with spousal missing cases, the spouse that you can find, the person who's at home, becomes the main suspect. And it revolves around all that drama because, as we will come to know, Amy have sense. Amy have enough sense, and Amy apply them sense there somewhere else. So we are moving on. Oh, whoops. So Amy's character synopsis is that she's an only child of well-off parents. They're both authors, and they made this children's book based off of her. So I hope you guys are picking up things as I go along because I'm going to know. I'm going to ask you before I divulge what she's suffering from. She's an only child. She was born to rich parents, and the book that they made after her was called Amazing Amy. The protagonist, Amy, is this like really adventurous child that excels in anything that she touches, right? There was a point in the movie where she expresses to Nick, I quit cello when I was 10. The next book, Amy was a child prodigy, right? So just hearing that, it's like her parents transformed what she wasn't to what they wanted her to be, but they didn't explicitly state it. They just made it into a best-selling book, right? The main problem from her upbringing, it comes from the fact that I guess the book character was seen as a surrogate child. Like, this is the ideal, but we have you. And that kind of isolation, that kind of depersonalization, I think has stuck with Amy. Note I said I think. For Nick now, Nick grew up in a regular middle class home. He had a sibling, so he had companionship, whether that was by his choice or not. And he is very close to this sibling. Her name is Margot. He calls her Go. Talk to her about everything. They actually run a business together now. They're super tight knit. And a lot of his character development or what his character knows is expressed through her. Um, Amy has a further problem with Nick in that she is transplanted from what she knew from her side of society, rich people, successful people, white picket fence, to his neck of the woods, and she feels like she's being jettisoned or expendable. She don't feel like she's her own person, but that she's been plopped into his world. And as we will come to find out, Amy does not like when people or she feels that she needs to transform. She would rather transform somebody else. So Amy, ever cunning, because she tired. Her marriage is, again, like I said, it was perfect on the surface, but terrible underneath. She felt neglected. That stereotypical look at men when they're watching TV and they have the beer in one hand and the chips in the other, and that was how basically she described Nick. Um, and she, in her monologue, does not see that as an equal. Later on, when she's missing, Nick takes it upon himself to go and speak to her former boyfriends. One of them, because he was not what she wanted, to get out and to teach him a lesson, Amy staged rape. And it was to the felonious degree, and he ended up on a sex offenders registry. And in America, that ruins your life. And so we get the first real glimpse, other than her made up um, kidnapping, we get the first real glimpse of Amy being, disordered. She basically thinks of herself as highly as, if you don't meet up to the measuring stick that I have, you now deserve prison time and a smudge on your record. I am good enough to need you to change everything about you to fit what I want. I'm speaking slowly because I want you guys to pick up the sentiment that she works with, right? And it's the same thing that she's doing to Nick. So, Amy's actions throughout the film, right? She creates fake diary entries, like leading back to a year or more about fake abuses that Nick would deal out to her, down to domestic abuse where he throws her into the banister of the staircase, right? She befriends a neighborhood pregnant woman, and before the lady came over, she drained the toilet of its water because she wanted to collect the woman's pee, and in her fake abduction, because it would come up in her medical records that she had the pregnancy hormone in her urine, in quote unquote her urine, it would make the case even more salacious that Nick is now being persecuted for the death of his wife or the disappearance of his wife. And Americans feel that closely or that much about pregnant women and their safety that it spices up the case against him, right? This is her lesson to him. She has no regard for how he's dealing with this. This is his lesson and he must conform, right? Then she starts befriending. She hates everybody, by the way. She calls everybody idiots. She befriends everybody in the neighborhood and begins to feed them stories continuously, right? About how he's having an affair, which he is. He was having an affair. How he is neglectful, all sorts of foolish stuff. Well, yes, foolish stuff, because she wants to create this whole breadcrumb trail, this alibi sort of why he would be the primary bad guy. Then, before I even get to the top one is chef's kiss, right? What she does, she takes the credit card and she drains the money on frivolous items to make it look like he has a spending problem. And he also gets her, I mean, she also gets him to take out a higher life insurance policy on her, all of which is supposed to point to motives to kill her. Because if you're in debt, not only are you going to have a nagging wife down your back because you probably have a gambling problem, or you're spending the money elsewhere where she's not supposed to find out, but you have added incentive to kill her because there's more money to get from her death. Boom, squang. Now, she draws blood from her own arm, right? Because she wants to now stage the actual murder. So she puts in the big bloodletting needle and she just starts spreading it around the house. She takes this metal and wood instrument and she dips it in the blood and she splashes it everywhere. She just like Picasso, right? And she begins to rub her hands in the blood and then clean it up. Why? Because when when the police comes to look around the house to see if there's any evidence of foul play, they're going to be looking in the bits and crevices where people don't usually clean. And that won't be cleaned. There will be splatters of blood. But where all of the blood was spilled will make it seem like that's the primary area. And she drags her hands through it. She makes it seem as though she was hit over the head. And then she plants the murder weapon, quote unquote, in the fireplace. You wouldn't be using a fireplace at the time that she left home because that was July. July hot. You don't need no fire. So clearly the police are coming down his neck. I just love it, right? To add further fuel to this fire, she uses a hammer and hit herself in the face. You know why? She wants to simulate domestic abuse. And nobody is going to say, oh no, she took a hammer from under the faucet. Nah. She is completely calculated and she has absolutely no regard for how this plays out for Nick, for his writing career, because he's also in the public spotlight a little bit, and what this is going to mean for him after. So yeah, I said the whole financial crisis, and she frames a past boyfriend for rape, and this is sorry, this is crucial because when she comes back to the house, she shows like signs of forced entry when she actually used a wine bottle to insert it into herself to um, put internal bruises. And then she has that past boyfriend have sex with her. But the biggest thing was that when he had finally finished the deed, she slit his throat while he was on top of her and let all of that blood drench her so that she was able to say that she escaped his abuse. This lady also started staging trauma and screaming in front of the security cameras of that boyfriend's house so that um, the police will say, yeah, you know what? She was there and she was being tortured. Yeah. So I'm going to give you guys a little breather to tell me what you think she has. Yes, my explanation sweet. Oh my goodness. Then he said psychopath. We don't use psychopath anymore, but you are on it. Yes, Jamila, antisocial personality disorder. So you and what's your name? Denise. Sorry about that, Denise. You and Denise are on it. We don't use sociopath and psychopath anymore, other than for in layman's term, but it's all antisocial personality disorder. In the same way that we don't use Asperger's anymore, it's all on the autistic, um, the autism spectrum. So finally, to tell you how this woman calculated, right? Calculated. What she do? In the drenched state that she is in that ex-boyfriend's blood, right? She steals his car. Well, and I steal anywhere, cause him dead. She takes the car and she drives back to the house. Now, at this time, it's a high-profile case, right? Not only does she come from a rich family and the guy is known, her husband is known because he's a writer as well, but missing persons cases like this, they're just really salty for Americans. I don't know why. Anyway, so she comes back home and all the reporters are there and they have the big mics and they have the huge cameras, right? And she comes out of the car and she staggers. And she's just blood drenched, right? And everybody just, because of this spectacle, she forces Nick's hand because he now knows that she put everything into this whole ruse. But because of how she returned to him, he cannot for a moment take up any actions to leave her. Because not only would that destroy his career, people feel so strongly about this case, he'd probably get death threats or even attempts on him life. So the last thing that she does to seal the deal in her antisocial personality disorder. Years ago, they had visited a fertility clinic and he didn't keep track of what was there, but she did. And to make sure that him really can't live at least for another 18, 20 years, she pulls the samples he believes they destroyed from that fertility clinic and she impregnates herself. This is all done in the hopes that he will never leave her. And it worked. It worked. So, you guys guessed the antisocial personality disorder, but she has another thing. Let me remind you of a couple words. Grandiose. When I said that he must be up to her level, I think those two things will bring you into this. Yes, Jamila. She has narcissistic personality disorder as well. So here is my thing, right? So with antisocial personality disorder, right? You have this pervasive pattern of disregard for others. So we already see that when she framed one boyfriend for rape that he didn't do simply because she couldn't change him the way that she wanted, and she killed another to finish the plot that she had, right? It's occurred since the age of 15. She's an adult now, so right there. So she fails to conform to social norms or respect lawful behaviors. She literally murdered somebody, and she uses both the court of opinion and the actual court right? To convict a man falsely of rape. She is deceitful. This entire ruse is deception. She unfortunately, not unfortunately, but she can plan ahead. She clearly did. She did this like a year in advance or so, and she's not impulsive. Even when she gets robbed at one point, she she can think oh so quickly on her feet. She's very sharp and she reads avidly. So that's owed to it, right? She's not irritable or aggressive. But and it's only three of these, as well as the other criteria rather that needs to be shown. So it's okay if she doesn't show all seven. Reckless disregard for safety of others. Again, she slit a man's throat. um, I'm not quite sure if that's anything but reckless disregard for others. Constant irresponsibility. No, no. But she does have a lack of remorse because at the end of this, the rigmarole she put Nick through with both thinking at first that she was legitimately missing and then all of the emotional turmoil she's going to subject him to after she was found and because she's carrying his child. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. She not sorry for that. The individual is at least 18 years old, yes. There is evidence of this of conduct disorder with onset before the age of 15. It was not stated in the movie before, but I don't know, we'll go put a red light through that. The occurrence of antisocial behavior is not exclusively during the course of schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. The only other thing that I can see that she's comorbid for is, or comorbid with rather, is narcissistic personality disorder. So that means schizophrenia and bipolar are out of the question. So narcissistic personality disorder. So she has a grandiose sense of self and self-importance because she does, even though she doesn't exaggerate achievements, she exaggerates her worth, right? She thinks that because she put in all of this work to be the cool girl that she thought that he wanted, he must now step up to the plate and stop being a slob. And while it is perfectly acceptable to want your partner to be somebody who you really would be proud to be seen with, to put someone through the ringer as such that you cause them probably PTSD is not the way. But she thinks she is that important, that mental anguish is also a legitimate means for her to get him up to her level, right? Preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, we don't see her putting herself up to there. However, she does not have to imagine her beauty. She was always beautiful. She believes he or she is special or unique enough only to be understood by or associate with high status people. She believes she's very much unique enough to put somebody through mental anguish, right? Requires excessive admiration. She has a sense of entitlement. She's entitled, right, to her husband's whole attention and nothing else. I can understand not wanting him to look elsewhere for love and affection. Clearly, that is cheating. But when you want to be point zero of all things, just ground zero, that is completely out of the question because persons are allowed to prioritize other things. Interpersonally exploitative, of course she is, because she framed one boyfriend before, she killed another, and now she's ruining the current husband's life. Lacks empathy, great stuff, yes she does. Is envious of others or believes that others are envious of her. um I'm not sure I saw that. Shows arrogance or haughty behaviors. Yes. At the end, after she gets exactly what she wants, she is completely arrogant. And she controls the narrative of the couple to the point where she forces him to um basically announce his unwanted pregnancy on live television when she returns. So what was left out? What did they get right or what was an over exaggeration? Looking at the entire film, I can't say that they really left anything out because a diagnosis isn't particularly cut and dry. You can't say, well, all of these are listed, so all of these must be presented. People are different, people are complex, and because of that difference and complexity, you can't expect people to show every single thing on the dime like clockwork. That's not how it works. Also, and Kajambo reminded me of this. Amy is a an extreme manifestation of this. Not all persons suffering from APD or NPD actually commit crime. much less murder, but crime on a whole. Some will acknowledge that, yeah, this is how I feel, but I know society will dog me for it. So I might as well seek therapy. So at least they don't come after me. Not that they want actual welfare sometimes, but that they rather not want the backlash of society if they should do something that they truly don't have any remorse for, right? Um, Not everybody who has APD as well is cunning or calculated. As you see in some of the criteria, you're impulsive as well, or you lack to plan ahead. So that's also a thing. So why is Gone Girl so thrilling? Well, I'll tell you. When you see someone who's wronged, so whether it's because of Nick's affair, whether you think she's too good for him because she kept up this beautiful facade, she was pretty, she really was, and she came from such success, why is it that she must sit down and waste away because this person does not want to rise to the occasion? So at first you feel, say, yeah man, you know what, she has some justification in this retribution, because I wouldn't want to be subject to having all of me and my essence waste away because of this man, right? Okay, she puts so much effort into the plan as well. You wouldn't want to see all of that effort wasted. Even if you look at a villain putting in such elaborate traps, and she is a villain in the story, you don't particularly want to see everything fall flat. It's the sunk cost fallacy, because you put so much into this endeavor. It would be such a shame if you lost it, right? And I'm even though I know that she's a bad guy, I really, really love that she succeeded. And the final thing is, she's a woman executing a male dominant trope, right? So usually when we see psychopaths with or sociopaths, we think Hannibal Lecter, or we think Sherlock Holmes. Yes, Sherlock Holmes. We think just any person who works alone, works remember Gregory House from House MD? Him as well. You think of that super sharp person who usually they are either justified in their wrongdoings, or as Hannibal Lecter is, or you see them working best with that utter disregard for persons and their feelings, right? With Amy, she is disregarded by her husband, him disrespect her by having an affair, but because of the shock value of her just being a woman doing all these I don't care of your feelings thing, where women are attributed with feelings and distributing love and emotion, it is enthralling. I think that's the word I want to use. So of course, when you see her pulling out all the stops and splashing her blood everywhere, uh, bruh. So that is our presentation. Gone Girl has been lit. I hope you enjoyed it. I yeah, I guess. Mm.
How did they find out what she did, like, for you to know this?
It's from his point of view. So that's it for the presentation. Any questions? Any feedback? You can open your mics. Oh, thank you, Jada. Thank you, Denise. Thank you. It took a little bit of a lot. Okay, so we'll end here. And
Sorry.
yeah, hi Josh.
Yes, hi. In the presentation, you said that she required excessive admiration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she would basically have histrionic personality disorder as well.
I mean, she ticks most of the boxes for narcissistic personality disorder. I'm not quite sure if histrionic would fit her, mostly because I also don't remember the criteria for histrionic. But also, I think, and this is a very big think, you'd also be displaying a little bit more recklessness.